Russ is a soldier, so just the way he handles his business, the way he handles situations, I just know the type of guy he is and the stuff that he can overcome in the situations like that don't put no fear into a man's heart. And I know that this year he's got a big year coming ahead. So we've got a packed house, so let's bring in Chris Canty and Chris Carlin with Freddie and I. And Canty, I'm going to start with you. How do we feel as if Russ has done enough to be a Hall of Famer?
Oh, yeah. Russ has done enough to be a Hall of Famer. Now, you wouldn't know it based on the way that he played last year, but since Russell Wilson has come into the league, he's third in touchdown passes behind only Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, and he's second in wins behind only Tom Brady. Now, I get that wins is not a quarterback stat, but as a former defensive player, I can tell you in this league, if you don't have a quarterback, it's damn hard to win, and Russell Wilson does a lot of it. He's 9 wins in the postseason to only 7 losses, and you're talking about a guy that's been in the postseason 8 of the 11 years he's been a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So let's not let the bad taste from last year conflate whether or not Russell Wilson has done enough over the course of his career to be a Hall of Famer. You can't look back at the last decade of football and talk about it without talking about Russell Wilson.
Absolutely. Giving him a little bit of a hall pass. What about you, Chris?
Regrettably, he's right,
Yes.
but he shouldn't be a Hall of Famer.
Why regrettably?
Why
Well,
regrettably?
Chris just
Everyone
gave you,
deserves a hall pass.
Well, but I understand that, but for an entire career, here's the thing. I like Russell Wilson. He's a guy that you can go to war with. My problem here is that you can talk about 9 and 7 in the playoffs. That's okay. But at no point during the entire course of his career has he been a top 5 quarterback in the league. All the numbers that Chris gave you, they do mean something. But 308 touchdowns in his career, that's a product of the era in which he is playing. There are plenty of guys over the years before him who I would take over him. And just think about the guys who have been the quarterbacks during his career. Every single year, it's 5 to 7 guys that were better. Peyton Manning, Roethlisberger, Brady, Luck, Breeze, Rodgers, Mahomes, Romo, Cam Newton. These are guys who were all better. You know, Russell Wilson has never, not once, gotten an MVP vote. Not once in his entire career. That kind of tells everything to me. So I know he's going to get in, Freddie, based on these numbers, but it doesn't feel like when I think about Hall of Fame, and I want to be able to make that definitive line, is that guy a Hall of Famer? I don't feel that way about Russell Wilson.
Yeah, regrets, I don't have a few because I'm with you. I don't look at a Hall of Fame guy when I see Russell Wilson. And Chris Canty, you made some valid points about comeback wins. He's tied for the most in comeback wins since 2012. He has the most comeback touchdown passes in the fourth quarter with 27. That's more than anybody else in 2012. But to me, Russell Wilson has been a product of the environment that was the Seattle Seahawks. When they won their championship, not saying he didn't have anything to do with it, but that was defense and the running game. It was Legion of Boom. It was the running game. And he gets crushed for the touchdown, for the interception he threw against New England Patriots. Narratives can change people's minds because you know what the narrative would have sounded like had he completed that pass. What a great call by the Seahawks. They fooled the Patriots. They thought they were going to run Marshawn Lynch, and they threw a touchdown. And then we're not having the conversation because they were saying that guy's a Hall of Famer by what he did in that situation. But because he threw that pick, he has gotten crushed for that, and that's kind of taken away what he's been able to do. He's had a very good career, but to your point, Chris Carlin, I don't see Hall of Fame when I see Russell Wilson. And I don't want my Hall of Fame because it's getting to the point now there are too many very good players that make Hall of Fame. When you go into Hall of Fame, you should not look at a guy in question or look at a woman in question if they belong there. When I go into the Basketball Hall of Fame and I see Cheryl Swoops, I don't question that. I know what a Hall of Famer looks like. When I go into the Baseball Hall of Fame, I see Hank Aaron, there's no question about that. But there's still a lot of guys that are very good, and I go, I don't know. And right now, Russell Wilson is there. Now, I will say this. He has a chance to make himself a Hall of Famer because he's got a guy in his corner called Sean Payton. And I saw what Sean Payton did for a certain guy named Drew Brees, where he was having a very good career, wasn't a bad quarterback. Sean Payton put the healing hands of Sean Payton on him, and the next thing you know, Drew Brees was lighting up the National Football League. Russell Wilson's in the same spot to have a guy that he can put his healing hands on him, and we see a continued Russell Wilson adding to those numbers and being an impact player. then he can make a strong case for the Hall of Fame. But as of right now, I don't see a Hall of Fame quarterback in Russell Wilson.
But is there
Well,
still
here's
time?
the thing I'll say in response.
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
I think there is still time. I have serious doubts about whether or not Russell Wilson's style of play can mesh with Sean Payton's football philosophy. I mean, Russell Wilson has been a guy that's made his name on playing outside of the structure of the offense, doing things off schedule, running a scramble drill and looking for the home run. And Sean Payton is the exact opposite. Sean Payton wants a quarterback to trust his eyes and the scheme, get the ball out fast, to basically be disciplined in his approach and how they see the game. So how that works together, not sure whether or not Russ gets back on track in his second year in Denver. But what I will say about the totality of his career, guys, you mentioned Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Russell Wilson's been to more Super Bowls than both of those guys. Now, you can say it's because of the defense or a product of his environment, but Russell Wilson has been a steady force in Seattle, which has allowed them to be as competitive as they have been since he was there. I mean, being in the playoffs 8 of the 10 years, and one of the years, the reason why you didn't go is because you were injured. Like, everybody can understand the impact that Russell Wilson is making on his team, and it goes beyond just trying to quantify it by just sheer numbers. So I understand what we're saying in terms of how the numbers might be inflated because of this era of football. But, guys, if you look at the common denominator when it comes to those Seahawks teams and consistently being in the postseason and having a chance to compete for a championship, that's Russell Wilson. And you can't take that away from him.
Canty, who is the best team in the AFC East, in your opinion?
I'm rolling with the Miami Dolphins, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm falling into the 2-9 trap, but I have to, because out of all the quarterbacks in the division, he's the one that I trust the most when he's on the field. Now, there's always going to be that caveat because of the injury concerns with the concussions, but when Tua is on the field, the Miami Dolphins have the most explosive offense in the National Football League. In games that he starts, they look at the Kansas City Chiefs offense eye to eye in terms of a yards per play basis. That is an explosive outfit. There are no questions when it comes to that unit. Now, if you take a look at the defensive side of the ball, that group is only going to get better now that they have an adult in the room at defensive coordinator with Vic Fangio, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins, all studs up front. And if you look at the Dolphins' pass rush after the Bradley Chubb trade, they were 3rd in pass rush win rate behind the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. And we both know that those two teams can get after the quarterback. So you couple that with the secondary that features Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, and Javon Holland, who is a budding star at safety. The Dolphins have all the ingredients to be a really, really good team, arguably the most balanced team in the AFC East going into 2023.
You can't believe you're buying into 2-9. I can't believe you're buying into 2-9 with all the shows we've done and to get into this. But listen, I get where you're coming from. I can't take this away from the Buffalo Bills quite yet. That doesn't mean I don't have real concerns about it. Buffalo, to me, is still the best team overall with the best player in the division. And I know what I'm saying when I say that as far as Josh Allen is concerned. The turnovers are a concern. They are. I can't get around that, and they have to get cut down this year. My bigger issue, though, is the relationship right now with Stephon Diggs. This feels like this could explode at the wrong moment for the Buffalo Bills. And this is on Josh Allen to fix, because this window for Buffalo, at least the first iteration for Allen, is only going to be open the rest of this season. You know, you have to find, they haven't been able to find a way to get past Kansas City. They can't have any other issues. So he's got to do everything he can to make sure Diggs, who since he has been in Buffalo, has 338 catches in 3 years. That's as many as Devontae Adams has had in the last 3 years. This guy is an incredible weapon, and he is by far the best weapon that Buffalo has. They're still the best team, but boy, they got to keep that situation under control.
You said it was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, Aaron Rodgers being there, and apparently our man Chris Canty is definitely on Tua Boulevard, having a lot of trust in Tua, talking about a little quarterback. I wouldn't do that at all, but it is still Bills Street. I'm with you, Chris Carlin, as far as that goes, because think about this with this team. I love the offseason additions to help Josh Allen not be the best running back in his team. You get a Damian Harris from the New England Patriots. You get a Latavius Murray. So now you don't have to worry about being the biggest, baddest running back in the division when you're a quarterback when it comes to Josh Allen. And whatever the Stephon Diggs situation is, I give Josh Allen a lot of credit trying to make sure it's going to be diffused before training camp gets started. He turned out that he said, hey, look, I got my guys back, but we need to be better as an organization to make sure this does not blow up in our face. That is great leadership and great maturity from Josh Allen. We'll see if it lands and how it lands with Stephon Diggs, because we've seen that book before in Minnesota. When he was unhappy, everybody had to be unhappy. It was just like the old West, like I said yesterday. Everybody wound up dead. That's what happened in Minnesota. You don't want that to happen with the Buffalo Bills. But also remember this, the Buffalo Bills. The Jets' defense is really good and outstanding. The Buffalo Bills' defense, not behind the Jets. They were third in total defense and only second in points given up. Only the San Francisco 49ers gave up less points last year than the Buffalo Bills. And I know Leslie Frazier, not the defensive coordinator, but those guys are still there. You get Von Miller back, and I think he's going to have that Lazarus situation. They got two of the best safeties in football. And also Ed Oliver has been a monster. He's like a poor man's Aaron Donald in the middle of that defense with the Buffalo Bills. By the base of what they went through last year, I think will serve them well to still be the kings of that division. It's not going to be easy. We could have 4 teams in that division win at least 9 games. The Patriots' defense is really good. That's a top 5 defense in the AFC. But I still think it's Bill Street, but it's a lot more of a crowded neighborhood with Miami if Tua can stay healthy and Aaron Rodgers being part of the New York Jets.
Are we not giving
Freddie, see, you put a lot of respect on that Bills defense. You put a lot of respect on it. And Oliver is Aaron Donald-esque. Man, chill out.
I said a poor man's Aaron Donald. I said a poor man's Aaron Donald.
I can't even go there. You don't even know what version of Von Miller you're going to get coming off of an ACL. You don't know when he's going to get back. They did lose Tremaine Edmonds, a former first-round pick who was in that middle-of defense with Matt Milano. How that defense adjusts to those losses is also going to matter. Not to mention the departure of Leslie Frazier, the guy that was really pulling all the strings when it came to the defensive side of the ball. So there's going to be an adjustment in terms of that aspect of it. But looking at the quarterback, Josh Allen, guys, he had 23 turnovers in 18 games, including 7 in the red zone. How the hell can you trust that guy?
I can trust that.
That's probably why the quarterback. Hold on, let me finish. That's probably why Stephon Diggs is frustrated at the situation in Buffalo now, especially knowing that he only had 4 catches in that divisional round loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. So the decision making from the quarterback has to be the biggest question mark for the Buffalo Bills. And then another question mark is what kind of defense is going to show up to the party for Buffalo, knowing that they're going to have to stop some prolific offenses in the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. I just can't go there in terms of saying that the Bills are the landlords of the AFC East. I think that competition is going to be really stiff this season.
They are the land. You're trusting Tua, who may not stay healthy, over Von Miller coming back. You can be on that island all by yourself, Chris Canty, when it comes to that. I'll trust in Josh Allen not making the same mistakes in the fourth quarter. Now, is Stephon Diggs upset? Hey, Stephon, get open against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't want to hear excuses. Get open against the Bengals and stop blaming somebody else. Josh Allen will figure it out. He's not going to have back-to-back seasons of having that many interceptions, especially in the red zone. I'm not buying that from Josh Allen.
We've also got Mr. Rogers in his new neighborhood. but that's a whole other discussion.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.